Your brother Lucas needs the space more than you do, Mom declared, shoving my books into cardboard boxes. He's starting his MBA at Stanford. A future executive needs a proper home office. I stood frozen in the doorway of what had been my bedroom for 27 years, watching them transform it into Lucas's personal study. His leather-bound journals already lined my shelves, his expensive suit stag still on, hung in my closet. Where am I supposed to go? I asked, though I already knew the answer. I had plans they knew nothing about. You can stay in the basement for now, Dad said without looking up from where he was assembling Lucas's ergonomic chair. Or better yet, get a real job and move out. Sitting in cafes with that laptop isn't a career. If they'd bothered to ask, they'd have learned that the laptop they mocked had built an empire. 4 years of sleepless nights, coding through tears, surviving on ramen, all while they toasted Lucas's every achievement like he was the second coming of Rockefeller. Lucas needs a space that reflects his future, Mom continued, dropping my worn notebooks into a donation pile. He's going to run companies one day. What are you doing? Playing on the internet? I slipped my phone into my pocket, biting back a laugh. That playing had just secured a $680 million 0 cents acquisition offer. Yesterday, the ink dried on papers that made me majority owner of the Horizon Plaza, San Francisco's crown jewel skyscraper, the same building where Dad's investment firm leased its penthouse suite, and soon where Lucas hoped to intern for experience. I'll clear out tonight, I said evenly. Dad finally glanced up, a flicker of approval crossing his face. Good. Independence will be good for you. Maybe you can find steady work. Lucas could put in a word at one of the banks after his first semester. Not glamorous, but stable. I didn't respond. My phone buzzed again. A message from my COO lit up the screen. Orders ready, security team briefed. Do you want your office nameplate revealed before the press release? I typed back quickly. Give it 2 weeks. Let's make this memorable. As I grabbed my laptop bag, the only possession that truly mattered, Mom spoke again, her voice dripping with condescension. Try not to feel bad. Not everyone can be extraordinary. Lucas worked hard for this. If only she knew. The next time they stepped into Horizon Plaza for one of Dad's firm luncheons or Lucas's networking mixers, they'd walk through revolving doors guarded by security trained to greet me by name, Ms. Bennett, owner. I didn't need validation, but poetic justice? That I planned to savor. My son, the CEO. I could hear her practicing the line for her friends, the same way she'd once boasted, my son, the lawyer. Too bad she wasn't talking about me. They didn't even notice when I left that night, didn't ask where I was going. The answer would have knocked the smug smiles right off their faces. Straight to my new penthouse office on the 78th floor of Horizon Plaza, the tallest tower in San Francisco. The building they thought belonged to real business people, not someone like me. 2 weeks flew by in a blur. I spent them setting up my new life, finalizing deals, and adjusting to the quiet hum of power. Every morning I sipped espresso from a crystal tumbler, gazing out of floor-to-ceiling windows at the city that had once felt too big for me. From up here, I saw Dad's black Mercedes pull into his reserved parking space outside the investment firm's suite, and soon, Lucas, the golden child, would be part of the daily parade of professionals entering my building not as an owner, but as an intern clutching someone else's briefcase. The day before Lucas's first day, a text from my COO lit up my phone. New security protocols active. All tenants must update their access passes. Your family's firm hasn't responded. They will, tomorrow, I typed back, smirking. That night, Mom called me for the first time since they boxed up my life. Lucas starts his internship at Horizon Plaza tomorrow. Isn't that incredible? Maybe you can visit his office, once you get a real job, of course. I smiled at the glittering skyline. Don't worry, Mom. I have a feeling I'll see his office very soon. The next morning, I watched the security feed as chaos erupted in the marble-clad lobby. Dad stood at the turnstiles, waving his old access card like a magic wand. His face reddened with every failed swipe. What do you mean our access is denied? He barked at the guard. I've been a tenant here for 15 years. Lucas hovered beside him, Armani suit crisp, smile fading fast. I'm sorry, sir, the guard said evenly. Ownership changed. All tenants were required to update credentials last week. Notices were sent repeatedly. Do you know who I am? I'm Richard Bennett, managing partner of Bennett & Cole. Yes, sir, the guard replied unfazed. But per the new policies, everyone needs clearance from Madam Owner. Mom, phone in hand, ready to livestream Lucas's big day, pushed forward. This is outrageous. My son's first day, he cannot be late. I understand, ma'am, the guard said, glancing toward the private elevator. But I already called her. She's on her way. The elevator doors slid open with a soft chime. I stepped out in a charcoal Chanel suit that cost more than Dad's monthly lease. My Louboutins clicked like punctuation marks across the marble. The lobby went still. Mom's phone slipped from her fingers. Access problems? I asked smoothly, meeting their stunned eyes with the calm certainty of someone who no longer needed their approval. Because the building they worshipped now belonged to me. And that was only the beginning. If you want to see what happened when my family realized I owned more than just the building, make sure you hit subscribe. You won't want to miss the next chapter. Dad's jaw dropped. Lucas's perfectly practiced, future executive composure cracked. Madison? Mom whispered. Actually, I corrected her with a calm smile, it's Ms. Bennett in this building. Or Madam Owner, as the staff prefer. This is impossible, Dad stammered. You make apps. You sit in cafes. I turned to the security guard. Please pull up the ownership documents on the main display. The massive digital wall behind the reception desk flickered, then glowed with the official acquisition papers. My company's logo stretched across the screen, followed by my name. My signature etched boldly at the bottom of a multi-billion-dollar purchase agreement. Those apps you never bothered to ask about? I said, turning back to my family, savoring the silence. They didn't just make money, they revolutionized real estate technology. Every major property management firm in this country uses our platform, including the one I bought this building from. Lucas found his voice first. But my internship, the investment offices, they're still yours, I assured him coolly. Unlike some people, I don't believe in tossing family aside when they're inconvenient. My eyes met Mom's. Her lips tightened. However, I continued, nodding to my assistant who appeared with 3 crisp folders, there are a few adjustments. I handed the first folder to Dad. Your firm's lease? Effective immediately, you'll be paying market rate. No more legacy discounts. The second went to Lucas. The investment group he's working for now reports to our tech division. All interns are required to complete mandatory analytics training, twice a week. Finally, I turned to Mom, letting the third folder hover in the air before I handed it over. And you'll need to schedule an appointment if you plan to drop by. No more impromptu photo shoots in my lobby for Instagram. You can't do this, Mom whispered, voice cracking. Shelley, I said softly, I can, just like you could throw me out of my room for Lucas's bright future. Funny how property ownership works, isn't it? I glanced at security. Issue them temporary passes for today. Full access only after they sign the new agreements and complete orientation. As they stood there, clutching their passes like lifelines, I heard Mom murmur, I don't understand. You were nothing, just playing with computers in your room. No, Mom, I replied evenly. I was building an empire. You just couldn't see it. Because it didn't look like your definition of success. I checked my watch and smiled. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a board meeting to attend. In my building. 1 month later, I sat in my glass-walled penthouse office, Horizon Plaza glittering beneath the morning sun. Dad's firm had quietly signed their new lease at triple the old rate. Lucas had failed the analytics exam twice before finally passing, and Mom? She'd tried sneaking into the building 4 times, before giving up and booking formal visits through my assistant. Funny how things change when the building and the power belong to you. My intercom buzzed. Miss Bennett, your family has arrived for the requested meeting. Send them in, I replied, my voice calm but edged with steel. They walked in like chastened schoolchildren. Dad stripped of his usual booming confidence, Lucas without that smug grin he wore like a badge of superiority, and Mom clutching her Hermes bag like a life preserver, eyes darting around my office as if the sheer size might swallow her whole. Behind me, San Francisco glittered beneath the morning sun through floor-to-ceiling windows, a skyline that now bent to my will. They obeyed. I didn't bother softening my tone. We need to discuss some changes. Dad cleared his throat. More rent increases? Not exactly. I slid 3 sleek black folders across the polished marble desk. These are about my old room. Mom stiffened, lips pressing thin. Lucas needed that space for his future. Stop, I cut in. You wanted him to have a sanctuary for his MBA studies. But that's not what happened. I opened the first folder. High-resolution photos spilled out. This was taken yesterday. My old room is now a personal influencer studio. Soft lighting, branded props, perfect for Lucas's little TikTok empire on business hustle tips. Not exactly study material, is it? Lucas flushed crimson. How did you? I monitor every square foot of what I own, I said coolly. The second folder hit the desk. Here are your actual work hours, Lucas, based on building access logs. Seems like the only thing you're consistent about is booking conference rooms for content shoots. You can't track me like that, he snapped. I smiled thinly. I own the building. Every badge swipe, every security feed runs through my system. Finally, I opened the third folder and turned to Mom. And this? Your social media lifestyle brand? Every glossy photo you post from Horizon Plaza? Shot without permission. On property you don't have access to anymore. Using servers I control. Mom's voice trembled. What do you want from us? I stood, heels clicking against the marble as I walked to the window, hands clasped behind my back. The same thing I've wanted since the day you boxed up my life and tossed it in the basement. Respect. Recognition. A family that sees me for who I am, not who you wished I'd be. With a press of a button, the wall screen behind me blazed to life, charts and graphs filling the room like cold judgment. Dad, your firm's billable hours? Down 40% since last quarter. You're bleeding clients because you refuse to update your outdated systems. I turned to Lucas. Your business hustle advice? Worthless when your internship performance ranks dead last. Finally, I looked at Mom. And your influence? It vanishes the second I revoke your access, which I have. Lucas swallowed hard. Are you gonna throw us out? I faced them. Every word precise as a blade. No. I'm giving you a choice. Sign the new agreements, follow the rules, or walk away. No, I said evenly, meeting each pair of eyes across the glossy marble desk. Unlike you, I understand the difference between property and power. I slid 3 fresh documents across the table. These are your choices. The silence was thick enough to hear the hum of the city below. Dad reached for his folder first, scanning the pages, his jaw tightening. You want my firm to convert entirely to your tech systems. His voice cracked on the last word. Full digital transformation, I confirmed. Your practice is stuck in the last decade. This is simple. Evolve, or watch your firm collapse under its own inefficiencies. Lucas flipped through his packet next, his face paling as he read the terms aloud. Mandatory analytics certifications, social media limitations? Yes, I said smoothly. Be an intern first, an influencer second. That's what the internship is for, isn't it? Actual work? Mom's hands trembled as she clutched her folder like a lifeline. Her designer rings glinted under the fluorescent lights as she read aloud. Building access only for legitimate business purposes, no unauthorized filming, no personal branding in Horizon Plaza. Correct, I replied. No more impromptu photo shoots to fuel your Instagram empire. No more pretending you own what you don't. And absolutely, no more exploiting my success for likes. Lucas swallowed hard. And my old room? Convert it back to my private home office within 48 hours, I said without flinching. Or I raise the hospital wing's rent by 200%. Their stunned faces were priceless. I leaned back in my chair, folding my hands. Your choice. They stared at the papers like they'd been written in another language. Finally, Dad spoke again, voice small. You planned all this? Oh, that's not all? I pressed a button on the edge of my desk. The wall screen flared to life, filling the room with scrolling images. Their social media feeds. Every mocking caption about my computer hobby, every snide comment about me wasting my life, every family photo where I'd been cropped out, preserved, archived, displayed now like exhibits in a courtroom. I've kept receipts, I said, my voice calm, almost amused. So, think very carefully about your next moves. Dad cracked first. The pen in his hand trembled as he scrawled his signature across the dotted line. Lucas followed, his head bowed in defeat. Mom hesitated the longest, but when I raised a brow, she finally signed, her manicured fingers pressing down so hard the pen nearly snapped. Welcome, I said, collecting the contracts, to the digital age, where real success isn't measured by square footage or curated feeds, but by actual impact. They rose to leave, shuffling like shadows of their former selves. Just before they reached the door, I called out, voice cutting through the silence like glass. Oh, and Mom, next time you post about your successful children, I smiled, tilting my head, make sure you mention both of us. After all, I gestured to the massive screen now showing the logo of my company, the empire they'd ignored. I own the platforms you post on. The door closed behind them with a soft click. I turned back to the window, the city sprawling like a chessboard beneath me. Sometimes the best room isn't the one you're kicked out of. It's the one you build yourself, 50 stories above those who underestimated you. You've heard my story, the one they said would never happen. They called me a failure, mocked my dreams, and boxed me out of the life I was building. But I didn't give up. I turned rejection into resilience and built something no one believed I could. Now, I want to hear from you. What would you have done if your own family threw you out? Would you fight back, stay silent, or build your own empire in secret like I did? Tell me in the comments. I'll be reading every single one. And if you've ever been underestimated, let this be your reminder. The people who doubt you today will be the ones Googling your name tomorrow. Never let their definition of success dictate your destiny. If this story resonated with you, hit subscribe and join me for the next chapter. It's bigger than this one. And trust me, you'll want to see how far I take it. Share your advice too. What's the most powerful lesson you've learned about self-worth, success, and proving people wrong? Your wisdom might be the spark someone else needs. This channel is more than stories. It's a community of fighters, dreamers, and builders who refuse to settle. So let's grow together. Drop a comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because if you think this twist was satisfying, the next one will leave you speechless.